Welcome back to episode 2 of the Principles of Editing. In this episode, I'm going to be covering how you can do basic steps in Adobe Premiere Pro, as well as saving protocols, importing clips, timelines, and even folder management. The first thing you will want to do would be to accumulate all of your raw footage together from your memory card and transfer it directly to your USB stick, desktop, or what I'd most recommend, save it in 2 areas. One of them being your hard drive, as it generally contains the most available storage and it's pretty easy to carry around with you to different locations. I would also like to suggest that you make a special file and label your clips accordingly just for the film, so it's easier for you to find all of your things quicker without having to search for your files, wasting unnecessary precious time. And it's much clearer once you place your files onto your timeline. When you first open Adobe Premiere Pro, the application will ask you if you want to create a new project, so just click on that and name your project to your own desires. For this tutorial, I will save mine as editing tutorial, so it's easier for me to find it. Once that's done, you will need to double check the location you'll want to save this video in. Now, when Premiere officially opens, your screen will most likely look just like mine. Just like any application, I know how tricky this may seem to you at first, but once you get the gist of where everything's placed, it is actually easier than it looks. The first thing you may want to do would be to import your clips. I usually like to right-click on the area where it says Import Media to start, and click on Import, which would open a bunch of files. Now this is exactly why I told you saving files to the proper destination is key. You may want to make a file within Adobe Premiere Pro itself, but in this app, it's not called folder, but rather a bin. You can create a new bin by right-clicking right here and clicking on New Bin and naming it whatever you desire. Let's actually start editing. Drag the clips of footage you'll want to start editing on the timeline on the right. If you hold Shift and O at the same time, this will directly send you to the end of your video, where you can see the overall duration of your film on the top left of your timeline. The footage you may see on your screen is just random footage, which I will specifically use to teach you the basics of editing and effects, such as the jump cut technique. My number one go-to tool in Adobe Premiere Pro would be the razor tool, which can be found in between your media and the timeline, which looks just like a razor blade. The razor tool is used to split up your clips in areas of your choice. It helps clean your cut, which is how jump cuts are formed from one scene to another. Once you've used the special razor tool to separate the bits you don't want from the clip, you can erase it by clicking on that specific footage, then hitting the backspace button on your keyboard. Once this is done, merge both of your pieces of footage together by clicking and dragging them next to each other. Sometimes you may have issues finding the exact place you want to delete, so in order to make it easier, on the bottom of your timeline, you can use this part of the application as your timeline cursor, making it easier to navigate it in as much or as little depth as you'd like. On to the final stage. Once you're pleased with your final sequence and have the desire to save your project, you will have to save your project. Then, to export it, you either manually go to File and Export it, or use the shortcut, which is highlighting all of your footage and hitting the Ctrl and M button on your keyboard, which would both send you to the available export settings. The main things you'll have to make sure of would be that your format is on H.264 for the best quality visuals, which would be at 1080p. You may notice it associating itself automatically with the present settings on Match Source High Bitrate, which is exactly what we're aiming for. Now under the comment section, you will see an output name which is highlighted in a blue color. Here you can choose where you'd like your converted video to be placed, as well as change the title to your desire. You have to make sure that both export video and export audio is ticked and accepted, and you're ready to render your video by clicking the export button. This would usually only take a few minutes, but the bigger the file, the longer the rendering time. That's basically all the steps you'll need to follow in order to understand and become familiar with in order to edit. In my next episode, I will start to explain some terminology which is used in order to address the conventions and general systems of different types of editing.